So initially when you do a startup, when you come up with initial product or a solution, you don't know how much to price for. People try to go too early, too broad, because they want to solve too many problems.
So one of the interviews I saw, you're a big fan of execution. You always mention execution is the key.
Problem is 90 to 95% people give up. They don't go to the depth, they don't go into details.
Hi everyone, I would like to introduce Khadim Batti, who is the CEO and co-founder of leading digital adoption company in the world and a market leader, based out in HSR Bangalore, where I started my entrepreneurship journey. He's a mentor to a lot of budding entrepreneurs like me. I've been associated with Khadim and Whatfix since 2019. So let's get started, Khadim. So one of the interviews I saw, you're a big fan of execution. You always mention execution is the key. I would like to know more about it.
I think for any startup actually, right, like strategies, unless it translates into execution on the ground, there won't be any result, there won't be any outcome, right? You can do hundreds of strategies sitting on a whiteboards or in your office premise, but somebody has to go down and to dirty your hands, right? So that's most important. And as your company scales, that becomes even more because like most of the playbooks, whether it's how you do selling, how do you do marketing, how do you develop your new products, right? That playbook keeps evolving. What worked yesterday, 5 years down before, probably would not work today, because let's say today is Gen AI world, right? It was from on-premise to cloud. So the playbook also has to change and adapt to the situation and the technology trend and all. And that playbook is like what works and what doesn't work when you actually execute on the ground. You might define the strategy, but somebody has to define that playbook while working on the ground, executing and iterating it. So unless somebody does that, it's very hard to be successful on the strategy what you have defined. So that's the reason I always say, like, execution is everything.
And for us, execution is actually everything. We design beautiful office spaces.
Yes.
But I mean, when you design and walk through and show it to a client, already the expectation says, like, some of the clients come to me like, just match this. Matching this, I understand. But for us, technically what happens is, after the design, where we're dealing with white-collared folks, and then comes directly to blue-collared folks, and managing everything on the ground. Like, I mean, you would have experienced hands-on, like every detail, where the plumber has come, or be it your carpenter has come today, or the different nuances. I completely get it. So just executing it, having it in your mind just does not help, and you just have to be on the ground. Most of the time, I'm with those guys, with my contractors, trying to make them much more professional and much more better every day. And I think so your one good thing what you mentioned about is playbook, which keeps evolving. You just have to keep evolving and start somewhere. I think one more thing what you mentioned is perseverance. You talk a lot about perseverance in a lot of speeches and videos which I've seen. If you like to take more, like, why is it a key to success?
See, I strongly believe, right, like you can be successful in any field. Doesn't matter whether you're designing houses or office spaces or building SaaS company or somebody's doing an FMCG, right? The key is actually going into the depth, into details, and actually innovating and discovering a lot of stuff, right? The problem is 90 to 95% people give up. They don't go to the depth, they don't go into details, right? And to get into those depths, to discover new things, to innovate new things, right? It takes time. It takes maybe a few years. Let's say today, if I have to go specialize my product for an insurance field, I need to understand how this insurance industry works. What are the different business functions in insurance industry? Within those business functions, what are the use cases I can actually help, and how I can translate my product to that solution? If I'm not from that background, even if I'm from that background, this translating all this would take several, if not maybe few years. It might take at least several quarters, maybe at least 6 to 8 quarters, right? And then I have to work with customers and iterate. If somebody has that patience, perseverance, keep learning, keep working with the customers and keep iterating, actually definitely they would see the success.
Khadim, if a young boy or a girl was watching this video and would want to start a new business, be it a SaaS or outside SaaS, what would be your advice to that person?
If I have to make it generic, not specific to SaaS, or in fact, even if it's SaaS, it doesn't matter. I think what I've seen, general tendency, like people try to go too early, too broad, because they want to solve too many problems, right? My specific advice to everyone will be narrow down the problem as much as possible so that it helps you to specialize and go deep. That's where you will be able to innovate. You'll be able to create your niche and you'll be able to rank number 1 or 2 in that particular niche in the category. It's very important to be the leader, if not one, at least number 2 in that particular niche and category. That's only possible if you specialize and go deep. So narrow down the problem statement as much as possible.
You had mentioned about capturing one of the GTM strategies you had mentioned. Until a certain point, you were doing a certain ticket size. And that one ticket size where you took a leap in terms of quoting a customer, that example, if you like to tell them.
Yeah, I've given a couple of places, like because you're discovering actually the pain point with the customer, and the amount of your solution. The bigger the problem it solves, the higher the value it is, right? So initially, when you do a startup, when you come up with an initial product or a solution, you don't know how much to price for, right? You typically tend to based on a cost-based price or some other kind of a model. But as you start discovering the value you deliver, if you're delivering value to a customer, let's say potentially $1 million, it's no-brainer to charge $50,000 to $100,000, at least 1/10, 1/8 of that, right? But initially, when you don't know, it's hard to get to that number. And specifically when you're coming from engineering background and you don't have any knowledge of sales and marketing like us. So when we started talking to customers, prospects in some of the events like Dreamforce, and when we quoted the price, right? So one of the customers said we quoted a price of $8,000. Prior to that, we were selling only for a couple of $1,000s. Our intention was $8,000 for a year, but the customer assumed it was for a month, and they said, okay, $96,000, 12 into 8 looks fine. So that was a kind of a moment. Of course, we got a little scared at the point. Like, this was not what we were expecting. But we also realized that how much value this might be delivering for that customer in their, if they deploy our product solution. Basically, you need to identify what are the value levers, what are the exact problem you're trying to solve, and how actually it can move the needle for the customer. And then accordingly, if you can charge, I think that works. That identifying that value levers is very, very key.
So now this is a very basic thing, like for the audience. A lot of people don't understand SaaS. People don't understand digital adoption platform. So one of the videos which I was watching, you mentioned about IRCTC. So booking a ticket in IRCTC and your yellow, your orange balloons. So that's if you like to say more. So people with very basic can understand.
So this was 2014.
Yeah, 2014. Right? It was long back.
Yeah, it was our first very, very basic prototype or wireframe what we had built. And my co-founder Vara, actually, I remember he always used to book ticket every week. Right? Like I asked, like, why are you booking so many tickets? Right? You hardly travel. He said, no, every week somebody calls him from his hometown, from his relative, or who wants to get the ticket booking on IRCTC because they were not able to do it by themselves. So he used to actually help, and that's what really clicked for us in terms of Whatfix concept, what we were thinking about, like how it can help those people to do it themselves rather than actually calling up someone like Vara and all and getting that ticket booking. They could do it by themselves.
I mean, that small problem which you're solving, where say my mom, I think so she's skeptical when it comes to just booking an app online or ordering groceries. She's given up. So just one tool, had it been Whatfix, like kind of a tool, like. And for the large enterprise, we are talking about 70, 80, 90, 70 plus.
Hundreds of softwares.
So, and that one thing can solve such a large problem. Khadim, how do you sell globally? So, you initially started in India, then you move, and I think so more than 70% of your business comes from US and Europe to 15, 20%. So how do you sell globally? And what was that point that, inflection point?
I think in the first few customers, 5-6 customers only I had in India because we just wanted to validate our product market fit and whether it solves the pain point. And we were very clear that if we have to make it big, it has to be market like US, right? And the same personas which we were selling in India, we tried to replicate the same persona, what pitch works, we iterated. I think so we didn't have much problem there in terms of resonating the problem statement because the problem statements were similar and the pain point we were able to solve. We had to solve operational issues like time zone differences. So we started creating a separate dedicated team on sales, for marketing, for customer support. Several initial couple of developers who can actually do tech support as well, who started working in US time zone, in US time shifts actually. So that helped us to actually ensure that we respond very quickly, we turn around very quickly, we resolve any issues, there's no bottlenecks, we can be remote very quickly. So that helped actually to streamline all the processes, optionalize everything, and we were able to get traction in US market. And after that,
There's no looking back.
Yeah.
So the final one, Khadim, if you had a gigantic billboard, like, out there, like similar to what you have outside your office, and you had to give a message to the entire world, what would that be?
So one thing which we are trying for last couple of years, like how our message and our positioning has evolved as a company, right? What we strongly believe, like so far, every user were expected to be tech savvy, right? But I feel it's time that technology becomes user savvy. So the technology adapts to every individual user's needs rather than you and me going and learning every technology, right? Why not technology adapt to us? So we call that philosophy as userization. I would say, like, I want every software in the world to be userized.
Wow, that's something to think about it. Like, I never thought about this perspective ever. So Khadim, if people have to reach out to you or connect with you, which was the best platform?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so Khadim Batti is my profile. Easily you can find out and connect with me. I generally respond to all the messages there, and also you can follow me at Twitter. I'm pretty active there as well at Khadim Batti. So those are the two places I generally am very active and people can connect.
Perfect, Khadim. So yeah, thanks a lot, Khadim.
Thank you.
It's been great. I think so. We've got much more to discuss in terms of culture, process. Which I keep coming to you about, and I hope this video helps the users and inspire them as you're inspiring me. Thanks a lot, Khadim.
Thanks, Raj, and all the best to Sahi Designs.
Thank you.